Hi, my name is Diana Patton, and I help professional women overcome challenges and adversities to activate their voice and to use it to advocate for themselves, for others, and for the causes that they believe in. Today, I would love to be able to talk to you about 5 reasons why strong Black women need to prioritize their mental health. Traditionally, Black women have been known to be the backbone of maintaining strong relationships, community building. They are in charge of large business enterprises. They help direct interest groups. They direct the churches, the historically Black churches and the civil rights movement. Black women have been these strong Black women for a very long time. And I just want to tell you a recent study, what found that sometimes our narrative says that we are these strong Black women, so we're fine. We don't need to work on our mental health, nor do we need to seek out help or put together any type of strategy that will help with our own personal development and our healing. And I am here to tell you, as a strong Black woman, in addition to the recent announcements from very high caliber athletes like Sha'Carri Richardson, Naomi Osaka, and of course, Simone Biles, all of which recently within this summer 2020 year have said, time out. I am a strong Black woman. Not only am I a strong Black woman, I am a high caliber athlete, and I need to prioritize my mental health. And if you've been following me and you have followed me through past the pandemic, you understand I've been utilizing this term called George Floyd Pause, because I experienced my own George Floyd pause. I had to stop, put a break on my work, and take time to prioritize my mental health. So I am speaking to you not only just from a recent study, nor just reading the recent news reports about these amazing athletes. I'm speaking from experience. So after spending time researching and reading and doing my own homework, I came up with these 5 ways in which strong Black women need to prioritize their mental health. So the first things first, and I suggest this, is we as Black women need to understand our past. When we understand our history, we're better able to share her story. We need to take time to research what was going on with our ancestors. What were they going through? Take time with your mom, take time with your dads, your aunties, your uncles. Take time to research as much as possible our ancestors. Our history shows that we all have been dealing with a collective trauma, race trauma. So we need to understand collectively what that looks like. So you need to do a macro analysis of your history. And then you need to do a micro analysis of your history, your home, your recent family members, so that you can understand her story, so that you can share it from a place of knowledge and from a place of complete acceptance of who you are and acknowledgement of where you come from. That's number 1. Number 2, practice daily self-healing. And I keep looking over at my notes because what I wrote down was so good and I do not want to mess it up. So I said, our bodies keep the trauma score. Let me repeat that. Our bodies keep the trauma score, our bodies. And if you're not familiar with the way the body and the energy works, it's time to do that. But my gosh, that could be a video in and of itself. So our bodies keep the trauma score, but we need to end it. We need to stop the score. And we need to understand what our own bodies have been absorbing, right? So for example, this past year, when I was going through my George Floyd pause, where I was suffering from depression and anxiety, my throat was restricted. And if you know anything about chakras, you understand that there's different energy and what we call meridian points in the body. And when trauma gets in the body, it tends to stagnate certain areas of the body. For me, that was my throat. And what does that mean? That I was having difficulty with expressing myself, that I was having difficulty with sharing my voice and speaking. Obviously, who better than to talk about this to help other people than me? I had to know that throughout time, our families have been very quiet about what's been going on in our families. And for me to share this, I believe that the energy forces of negativity in this world wanted to shut me up and shut me down. But I had to continuously work on ridding my body of this emotional trauma. So of course, with the help of a therapist, we've gone through a lot of work there. So please, we could spend some time. If you are questioning this, message me personally and let's talk this through. But the second one is to make certain that we practice a daily self-healing. So what I mean by that, every single morning, set aside time to make certain that you are practicing your health, that you are journaling, that you are reading positive words, that you are taking time to work with your therapist and whatever your therapist is having you work through. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is forgiveness. And oh my gosh, I need to write this. I need to read to you guys what I wrote here, because I'm like, well, that's pretty good. What I said was, when we don't forgive our oppressor, we deteriorate our soul. I read that again. I was like, that's some good stuff. And so here's what I wrote. The longer we hold a grudge and seek revenge, not for humanity, but the more we seek revenge over our oppressors and against our oppressors, and get this and write this down, the longer we stay in bondage, and we weaken our rightful inheritance and the ability to accumulate wealth, not only for ourselves, but for our future generations. So we need to forgive. This is not something that I am telling you that's just off the top of my head. For us people who are really following what the Word of God says, which is my ultimate playbook, is that I need to forgive a lot and every day. Why? So that my future, my great, great, great grandchildren don't have to experience what I wasn't willing to let go of during my life. You see, all of us are spending time trying to break chains, break these bondages of strongholds that have been happening for centuries. May I just suggest to you, strong Black woman, that we begin to forgive. Let that go. Surrender it. It really isn't worth your life, your children's life, and their children's life. Does that sound good? Again, private message me if you want to talk further about that. The fourth thing is we are to speak up with passion, grace, and love. If you follow my videos, you know I talk about passion a lot, because we as a race, and I'm going to speak to myself, I am very passionate. I do not dull my sparkle for anyone, and neither should you. Passion is an acronym. So we should be speaking up about mental health. We should be speaking up when we know that there's something deeply wrong with us. Speak up about it. And if you see some kind of inequity or some type of discrimination happening, but you speak up with passion, but you must add on the grace and love part. So let me tell you what passion stands for. It's an acronym. The P is for pause. We all need to pause. Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about this often. She's my therapist. She doesn't know it, but maybe one day soon she will. She wrote a book called Switch On Your Brain, and she says that we need to give ourselves 90 seconds so we don't go into what's called the regret zone. Get into 90 seconds of pause. Then I want you to take the A, which stands for assess. Assess the situation. Is what I'm thinking true? Am I regurgitating something that happened 55 years ago? Often we are. So when you pause, you get time to assess. And when you assess, you might say, you know what? I need some space. I need to think. I need to pray on this. I need to go to sleep and I need to look at this the next day. I may need to sleep on it for a few days. But you need to round back. And the second S in passion is speak. You see, when we pause, assess, and give ourselves some space, then we can speak. We can speak from a place of wholeness, a place of surety, confidence, and a place where we can find grace. Because when you pass, which is the P-A-S-S, when you pass, that was 4 letters. I'm pointing 4 letters there. When you pass on blurting out what is going on, or you might be angry about something, but when you pass on initially saying, okay, give myself some time to think about what I need to say, you gain insight. You might need to gain insight and go, oh my gosh, I didn't think about it that way, or I definitely need some time to take a break. You become more open. You become more open to letting people know about you. Or you become more open to learn about other people and you gain knowledge. The K is silent. I needed it for the acronym. You gain knowledge. Pause, assess, get some space and speak so you can gain insight, become open and gain knowledge. And when you do passion, you can speak up from a space of grace and love. That's number 4. Finally, number 5. Understand why your voice matters. Here's my point. Young Black women need to see our weaknesses. They need to see our failures. They need to see how we fall down, but we get back up. They need to see our weaknesses to know our strength. You see, strength comes from resilience. Strength comes from a position of forgiveness. Strength comes from a position of grace. Strength comes from a position of love and self-healing and self-work, doing that homework and understanding your history so you can help that young girl understand her story. You see, when we act like we don't have any problems, we fake it and we just don't share what's really going on behind the scenes, we set up our future daughters for failure. So we have to understand why our story matters. We have to value vulnerability and openness and the ability for us to be able to share our weaknesses. Thank you, Sha'Carri. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Simone, for sharing your weaknesses, for sharing your need to take a break and to prioritize your mental health. Because now our young girls can see you, they can see me, they can see you and say, I can do this. I'm going to get the strength that I need to be able to do this. So when we build on this strength, guess what we're going to be doing? We're setting up the next generation for success. And you know what we're doing after that? Building an opportunity for them to gain equity in this world. So I leave you with these 5 strategies in order for strong Black women to prioritize their mental health. I hope these tips were helpful for you. I hope that you push the button to follow me to get weekly content like this. If you are interested in having me speak to your organization, to your group, you can go to my website, risewithdiana.com, and ask to book me. And we will get that settled for us to come out to you. Follow me on social media. Go to #DPinspires. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn. I mean, those 2 places I need to post more, but I don't have a social media strategist right now. So where I spend the majority of my time is on Instagram and Facebook. ask to join my private Women Who Rise and Advocate Facebook page group. It's free right now to you. And so I hope that you will consider joining me. Share this video with whomever you know needs to hear it. Let's set up our future generations for success. Thank you so very much.